apparently we've been offline from Facebook and YouTube this whole time, so just turn those on. I don't know what's going on here with this.
My
All right.
StreamYard.
Yeah, so now we're all right, now we're live on Facebook and YouTube. I'm glad I brought that
Hello,
up.
world.
Yeah. So if you're just tuning in, you missed the first 19 minutes of the show. I guess you can go catch that on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. In any case, so you're picking Joshua Van over Brandon Royval. I'll recap everything. You're picking Money Moicano over Beneil Dariush, and you're picking Peyton Talbot over Felipe Lima. All right, so we're all caught up. Now, the co-main event. So this is a rematch from about 9 years ago on The Ultimate Fighter. Alexandre Pantoja beat Kai Kara-France by decision. That was considered an exhibition because it was a 2-round fight on the show. Now they're meeting again for the undisputed flyweight title. I got to think Pantoja is a huge favorite here.
Minus 238, opposite plus 195.
I wouldn't have been surprised if it was even bigger than that. The problem is he's basically cleaned out this division. I mean, Kai Kara-France, yeah, great performance against Steve Erceg, but before that, back-to-back losses to Amir Albazi and Brandon Moreno.
Yeah, it's this MMA math thing because he just beat Erceg, and Pantoja had a hell of a time with him. Had to fight him how many times to put him away? Oh man, I want Kai Kara-France to win this. I want both. Well, I guess in the main event, there's, I'm rooting for Bronx and Kai Kara-France, but Pantoja he's like seems to me be one of the most talented fighters in the world. Like I know he's a smaller guy, but it's kind of like the Mighty Mouse thing. It's like, man, he'd be so damn excited if he was like 50 pounds heavier.
Yeah, but then would he be as explosive,
I'm just making a fantasy character. It's just a shame they're so little.
Yeah.
But I think I'm not going to bet on this fight. Kinda. I'm going to hold my dollar to the next fight for this.
Okay.
I'm going to do a little bit of.
Fair enough. I don't care about this fight either. All right. So the undefeated Ilia Topuria, the former featherweight champion, vacated his title to move up and challenge for the lightweight belt. At the same time, Islam Makhachev decided to vacate his belt, move up to welterweight. So in steps the former champion, Charles Oliveira, to fight for the vacant belt against Topuria, making his lightweight debut. So it's hard to kind of make a pick with this one because, and luckily I'm not the one making a pick, because we haven't really seen too much vulnerability from Topuria. He's finished like almost everybody that he's fought. Submitted Bryce Mitchell, knocked out Max Holloway. Like he's beating guys where they are the best. Nobody's even ever knocked down Max Holloway with a strike, and Topuria knocked him out. Oliveira, on paper, he's done more than Topuria, and he's got some higher profile wins, but he's just so unpredictable in terms of like, are you going to get, the Charles Oliveira that decimated Justin Gaethje, or are you going to get the Charles Oliveira that got overwhelmed by Islam Makhachev?
What do you think the odds are?
I would think Topuria is a slight favorite.
Yeah, Topuria is a huge favorite at minus 455.
Okay, I wouldn't put it quite like that, but yeah, just because of the inconsistency of Charles Oliveira, I understand why Topuria is a favorite.
Well, so my bet is going to be a little weird. If I see Charlie winning, it's by head. I know Lloyd's got some fun plans this weekend.
Yeah.
You put that up while I explain my pick. If Charles is going to win, I imagine it's a head kick.
I mean, it's possible. He's not going to have to kick very high.
So my pick is Charles by KO plus 1,100. And I'm going to take my dollar from last fight and parlay Ilia and Pantoja together to get the odds at minus 137. So I'm pretty much just, unless Kai Kara wins, I'll either make $11 off of this head kick knockout or break even.
I mean, it sounds like a good bet to me. They have Topuria listed as 5'8" on SureDog. I don't think that's correct.
How tall was Ilia?
That's what I'm saying. They have Ilia Topuria as 5'8".
And Charlie's what?
5'10".
No, there's a bigger difference there. I watched the face-off today.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Although, did you watched it? Charles looked a little bit like Ellen DeGeneres. I don't know if you caught that.
No.
I mean, I wish there was a prop bet of Charles not making weight, because those weight cuts are so hard on him.
Man, it's crazy to think. He was fighting at 45 for a while, wasn't he?
I'm not sure about that, but I see a picture every time he fights. He's got to get his teammates to get in the sauna with him, hold him, and
yeah.
One
he was
point,
fighting. He definitely used to fight at 45. He's fought. Now I don't know. We'll have to ask AI. I could have sworn he did. I mean, he's fought Cub Swanson, so that's got to be 45, right?
You're the expert, man.
Yeah, but I get hit in the head a lot. Anyway, let's get to Lloyd's comment here that I've been floating across the screen. He said, "Me and my friend have an agreement that if Charles wins, I run down the street naked, balls swinging like a pendulum, and the lot." So what I gotta ask Lloyd, what's the other side of the bet? What happens if Topuria wins? And do you live on a busy street? Is my follow-up question.
What part of the world says it like that? Pendulum and the lot.
I would say United Kingdom.
He's also everybody else can't see his other message, but he's also horny for Saturday. So
yeah,
I don't know what kind of things going on over the pond.
Yeah, it's probably from Liverpool or something.
Who do you think the backup fighter is for this main event?
Is it Saryukian?
Yeah,
that makes sense. You can have backup fighter that might not make weight. Is he gonna weigh in?
That's what it says.
Well,
which is weird. You can't weigh in for your fucking title shot, but
yeah,
watch that little asshole get the title off this way. There's no odds on that.
Yeah, I wonder. I mean, he would definitely be favored against Oliveira because he's beaten him. But would he be favored over Topuria, do you think?
I don't know, man. Topuria, like, once that guy is inside at close range, you're in deep shit. Like,
yeah, but I mean, historically, we haven't seen a lot of success of guys moving up from 45 to 55. You know, there's
Yeah,
a
I was thinking
reason
about
they're
that
down
today.
there.
That if you're going by the numbers, that's true. But there's also that huge number of guys to win the belt over 35.
Mm,
And
yeah, and at the lower weight classes. Geez. But how many times are those guys over 35 fighting a smaller guy that's moving up for the first time in weight? Maybe it's never happened. But yeah, if you look at, historically, like Volk didn't do well when he moved up. Max is kind of an exception because I think he should have been a lightweight all along. He didn't win when he came up the first time against Poirier, but then he had one of the best finishes of all time the last time he came up and fought Justin Gaethje. So
yeah, it's one of those MMA math. My mind tells me that Ilia is and probably might be at the end of his career listed as one of the best, whether we like it or not. He's kind of a hard personality to enjoy, but the guy can fight his ass off.
yeah, he is. He's really good. The other thing about it too is like the physical differences between a 45 pounder and a 55 pounder are pretty significant. You wouldn't think like, oh, every weight class is 10 pounds apart. And even, 55 to 70 is a 15-pound difference. I think there's a big difference between 45 and 55. I think it's just, there's like a bone structural difference between the guys in those two weight classes.
I haven't been around enough guys to know that.
Well,
I've seen Billy and Matt, and there's definitely a difference there.
yeah, for sure. And Billy fought at 55 in the beginning of his career, and he had a hard time. Maybe now that he's a little older and he's put on a little more muscle, it might be easier for him. But if you look at the frame difference, Matt Frivola is built like a brick shit house. Like that guy carries so much muscle.
But then you also don't know how much where they walk around at. Does Billy not have as big a cut as Matt? I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, Billy definitely doesn't fluctuate in weight as much.
We've seen guys not have success come up when they come up in weight class, and it seems like that happens when they don't take enough time to go to build up. And I think that might be the difference between the first and second time we saw Max do it. But I don't think Ilia. When was Ilia's last fight? It hasn't been. It
was Max Holloway, and that was in October.
Okay, so damn, time is flying by.
It really is.
Jesus.
Before you know it, Lloyd the bartender is gonna be flying by with his balls out.
There's actually been some news this week.
Do you know the reference of Lloyd the bartender?
No.
It's from The Shining. Jack Nicholson.
I know that movie, but I don't know.
So it's when he starts hallucinating, he starts seeing the bartender, and the bartender starts serving him drinks. Yeah.
Well, apparently this Lloyd's had too many drinks because he's thinking about running down the street with his balls hanging out. He still hasn't let us know what the other end of that bet is.
Yeah, we're still waiting on that. That's a cliffhanger.
Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah, what's old Lloyd's buddy gonna do? But all right. So what was the news?
We'll do some quick ones first. UFC BJJ finished up this week. It's kind of like a Ultimate Fighter type competition, and they had the finale last night, which if I was Craig Jones, I'd be pissed because it was a straight copy of his CGI event, like the everything. But it was good. Yeah.
I actually watched it.
Did you?
Yeah. And by accident, because I opened YouTube and it happened to be on. So I was like, I guess
it was entertaining. I think that the difference, the slant helps a bit, even though they weren't on it very much. But I don't know. Maybe there was some performance bonus talk in the back. But
yeah, there was definitely some sort of incentive because those guys were not grappling like they were trying to outpoint each other. They were all grappling to try and get a finish. The one kid impressed me. What was it? Tackett?
yeah, Tackett brother.
22
There's two
years
of those
old.
guys.
Huh?
There's two of those brothers.
And the one that won the championship is 22 years old.
Mm-hmm.
Been grappling since he was 4.
Yeah, those boys are monsters.
So he's been grappling about as long as I have. And he's 22. That's crazy.
And he's in Austin.
The guy in the main event also, what was his name? Rearson?
I don't know. I've never heard of him before.
Also 22 years old. And, he was in some bad positions. Like Mikey Musumeci had his legs tangled up for the first 2 rounds, and he had him in some bad spots. Finally caught him with that inside heel hook. It was cool. It was entertaining to watch. I'd say
It was good. Other than Mr. Mikey Musumeci or whatever is very irritating. His personality is.
It's rough, man. I saw a quote from Gordon Ryan. He said, "I'm glad that the UFC did this show so everyone could see how unlikable Mikey is."
Yeah, he's just a guy that I don't know what. He's like the anti-bullying bully. Like
Yeah,
he doesn't.
It's weird, man. He's like,
but damn, he's good.
He is. I mean, and
apparently makes a pretty nice pizza.
Yeah, I guess so. And then, like, that's his. He eats one meal a day, right? He eats like a big pizza for himself.
I don't know. I think he's gotten a little older and has to change that. But yeah, that's what he claimed at one point. Now he just like.
Yeah, man. I mean, there's no secret to getting good at jiu-jitsu. The guy's just in the gym all the time. That's what it is. Obviously, he's got some physical gifts. He's got those long legs and his hands and feet are sticky, but it's just constantly training, constantly drilling, constantly rolling. That's all it is. There's no like voodoo to it. There's no secret sauce.
There's a little. I think John Danaher is a secret sauce.
Yeah, I mean, he was ahead of the curve on a lot of techniques and stuff, but those guys were just, when he had the death squad together, they were training 7 days a week, multiple times a day. So, I mean, yeah, maybe they had a little bit more knowledge in that room, but it was really just the hours they were putting in.
Yep, and antibiotics that were going down.
Yeah,
they seem to have a lot of
look at the results, man.
You made it out of there unscathed, right? You were in the blue basement.
Yeah.
Right during their prime. You probably just did something. You did something crazy and took a shower,
right? Yeah. Yeah, I did. And they were tough in there. I didn't roll with any of the death squad guys because the last time I was there, they were all getting ready for ADCC, so they weren't rolling with any visitors. But yeah, tough room for sure.
All right, I got a couple rapid fire. Ortega Sterling, UFC Shanghai co-main. Josh Thompson's calling out Nate Diaz bare knuckle, which I love that. I love that idea.
It's not going to happen, but
well, I mean, there's some caveats. It can be a boxing match. It could be. I don't think I see Nate Diaz accepting that.
No, if he hasn't already acknowledged it, it's not going to happen.
He did tweet back.
He did. What did he say?
Something. I don't have Twitter. I heard, but it was Sounds like some bitch needs some money or something.
Oh yeah,
But I know he has apparently he has a meeting with Mr. David Feldman next week.
Nate Diaz does.
Yeah, but I mean they've had meetings before.
Huh.
I don't know. I thought Diaz might draw him out because he's got to want to get that one back.
Yeah, maybe, but you know, Josh Thompson is a name that pretty much only hardcore fans are gonna know. I mean, maybe more people know him now because of the podcast, but he was never a big name in the UFC. Obviously, he was big in Strikeforce. He was big overseas.
I don't know, man. Like the years he was active, he was I definitely was a casual fan, and he is a name that I know from fighting.
Okay, I mean, maybe I'm wrong. Yeah, I mean, he's, in my opinion, definitely one of the top lightweights ever. He was great when he was fighting, but at the time it was like if you're not in the UFC, not a lot of people know who you are.
Regardless, if they had a boxing fight, it would be one of the best celebrity boxing fights we've seen. Like you would be excited. You're not excited, but you would tune in.
I would, yeah, and it'd be interesting because it'd be two guys, two veterans who have history. Both good boxers. Neither one of them have knockout power in their hands. But you're going to see a good technical fight. I would worry about Nate Diaz and bare knuckle just because he cuts so easy.
Yeah, I mean, I'd rather just see a boxing match, straight up boxing.
I would too. I don't want to see Nate. I don't want to see Nate in bare knuckle.
They also mentioned just regular boxing and MMA gloves, which that would be better than bare knuckle. I don't know. This might not be real, but Thompson's also saying that Dana told him that if he goes out and beats Nate Diaz, he can get a retirement fight that he feels like he never got, and he can fight Cowboy Cerrone in the UFC for a retirement fight.
Wow.
Which that is another fight I would be.
That's interesting because I listened to the Weighing In podcast with Josh Thompson and Big John McCarthy, and Josh talks like he's been over it for a while. He's like, last few times I've sparred, I've gotten hit, and I haven't felt like hitting guys back. I'm just not feeling it anymore. And now he wants to come out of retirement, fight Nate Diaz, and then fight in the UFC.
Well, it would be, he was very clear. It would be only against Cowboy Cerrone and only for one fight.
Yeah. Well, I believe they were supposed to fight several times.
Yeah. I mean, everything about that makes sense.
Except that hope Josh Thompson's 46 years old. That doesn't make sense.
Well, how old's Cowboy?
I don't know. 40?
This stuff I'm excited about all of it. I just hope he's doing it because he truly wants a retirement fight. And this doesn't have to do with that his income might have been affected by the Bellator thing. And he's doing it because he strictly needs money, because that wouldn't be very cool.
Yeah. I mean, I hope not. I mean, he's a talented guy. He'd probably get a job somewhere else. Like if he's in touch with Dana enough to get a retirement fight, why can't he give him a desk analyst job? I mean, he's one of the best analysts out there.
You think where would he fit in on the UFC team? The UFC team seems pretty set.
Not as a commentator, but as a desk analyst. He'd be better than Alan Joban or some of these other guys.
Michael Chizia. Or Chizia or
Michael Chiesa.
Chiesa,
I thought actually did a pretty good job commentating the UFC BJJ.
Yeah, he did good. So did Din Thomas, but Din Thomas can't do anything that I don't enjoy.
Yeah, Dean Thomas is like he's like the equivalent of having Snoop Dogg do the
Yeah,
comment.
I really need to email the UFC because I want to be able to switch to his microphone in the
Yeah,
fight. I would always have it just on his microphone. I
he
don't
just
even need to get. He doesn't even need commentary. I just want to hear him talking to himself.
he's just
Uh,
so animated and he knows his shit. But yeah, I think Josh Thompson is more qualified than a lot of guys that they have on the desk. There's been some that have just been awful.
Yeah, maybe he was a heart. Maybe him and Dana don't have a great relationship or something. I don't know. Let's get him on the show and figure all these questions out.
Yeah, I mean, I'd love to have a conversation with him. Sure.
Okay, we have 2 more stories left.
All
They're
right.
both pretty interesting. We have the Jon Jones retirement, or we have a story involving coffee enemas.
All right, let's start with the Jon Jones because at least I know a thing or two about that. Um, all right, coffee enemas. Yeah. So here's my thing with this. I think it's probably the right move for him. It doesn't seem like he's really interested in training or fighting anymore. Um, he's doing some other stuff and getting himself in trouble and you know up to his old bad habits. Um, I never really got the vibe that he was into it anymore. And Dana even said he's like once guys start mentioning retirement, he's like I'll never argue with them. Because once they mention it, that means it's time. And I would tend to agree, but I think the way it was done, it was just fumbled, you know? Like here's a guy who's had the greatest career in combat sports history, in my opinion. And his retirement comes just like somebody asked Dana a question at a press conference and he's like, "Oh yeah, well he called us yesterday and he's retired now." Like it was just such a letdown. But at the same time, it was very fitting for Jon Jones because the guy has had the best career of any MMA fighter ever and probably the worst personal life of any MMA fighter ever. So it was kind of fitting in that regard where he's pretty much fumbled everything in his life outside of the cage, including his retirement announcement.
I don't know. Probably was having a pretty good time before the car crashed.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I'm sure he's on all kinds of stuff. And then he goes and threatens the cop and he flees the scene. Like, this is not going to end well.
Well, but he only got yet again. He just got a misdemeanor charge out of this. I think this is pretty much how this went on Saturday. Ring ring. Hey, remember that bullshit that happened to me in February? They're charging me with it. I'm not okay. Well, I'm going to retire now. Like
Was it in February that
yeah,
happened?
yeah.
Okay.
And since then Dana said that the fight was made. I don't know. I think the clip you made me get might be why he retired now because it's heavyweight. He can retire. Aspinall can do whatever he wants. Um, John can deal with this bullshit. Every time Aspinall fights, it gives Jon Jones way more information, which is what he's always complained about. He doesn't feel like he has enough information to fight this guy.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think for a minute that Jon Jones is scared to fight Aspinall. I think he
No.
might be scared of the result of his legacy from fighting Aspinall right now. And if a fight with Aspinall and Jon Jones has to happen, why not let Aspinall his, build up his persona, let John see more information, more of his techniques and patterns.
Yeah, it's a what's it gonna do for his legacy kind of thing. And that's what I was talking about last week. Like he could come and beat Tom Aspinall, and then if Aspinall goes on to have a mediocre career, which could very well happen, it's heavyweight. there's a reason that the record for title defenses at heavyweight is 3. And that's because these guys hit so hard. It's so difficult to stay consistently on top in that division. And Jon knows these things. I mean, as stupid as his life choices are, like, he's not a stupid guy when it comes to fighting. He's good at weighing the pros and cons of getting into a fist fight. I think if Alex Pereira moves up and beats Tom Aspinall, you're going to see Jon Jones come out of retirement in a hurry and challenge Alex Pereira, because that's a super fight.
Yeah, we're going to figure out what the UFC has planned for Pereira and what his next fight is. If it's Cyril Gane, to me, that means the UFC doesn't give a shit about the heavyweight division.
You mean if Aspinall's next fight is Cyril Gane?
Yeah, Aspinall is Cyril Gane. They don't care about that. If they want to build a superstar, they will give Alex Pereira to Tom Aspinall. I mean, the heavyweight division is so
stars.
You sacrifice one of your stars, but hear me out. If you want your heavyweight division to be back, you put him in there with Pereira, and if it works out well and Aspinall wins, you figure out a way to get a man named by the name of Francis Ngannou back into the UFC. Now, you figure it out, because right now there's nobody to fight him. You get Ngannou back, you let those two boys go at it, and whoever comes out on top of that fight, that's when Mr. Jon Jones will make his return. And the heavyweight division is back.
For how long?
It's going to be expensive.
Like, if I read you the top 15 names in the heavyweight division right now, how many of them do you think you know?
I probably know Gane, Volkov, that Almeida guy.
All right, let me give you 15 through.
Derek Lewis has got to be in there.
Let me give you 15 through 8 and tell me how many you know. Rizvan Kuniev.
No.
Martin Boudet.
Mm-mm.
Taliesin Teixeira.
Nope.
Nick Parkin.
Never heard of him.
Shamil Gaziv.
Nope.
Tai Tuivasa.
Okay, here we go.
Derek Lewis. Sergey Spivak.
Okay,
yeah. And then it's Marcin Tybura, Waldo Cortez Acosta, Jalton Almeida, Curtis Blades, Pavlovich, Volkov, Gane.
So you have right now exactly 0 ranked fighters that are exciting to fight Tom Aspinall.
Honestly, out of all of them, I'd say Derek Lewis is probably the biggest draw.
Yeah, I mean, that'd be the biggest draw, but the real biggest draw is a guy that held the 170 belt, which is also ridiculous. I don't know. The heavyweight division sucks. It hasn't been fun since for me.
I'd like to see Jalton Almeida versus Aspinall. I'd rather see that than Cyril Gane.
Yeah,
given these choices, that's the fight.
I don't know. I mean, if the UFC doesn't give a shit, that's what you'll see. If they care, they're gonna do this path that I.
Well, he said they're gonna meet with Aspinall this week to find out what they're gonna do with him.
Well, and also, if Aspinall is not already in Vegas right now, then he needs a new manager.
Yeah, no, he's there.
Okay, good.
Yeah, because Dana said they're meeting with him this week because it's International Fight Week, right?
Yes.
Yeah. All right. So tell me about the coffee enemas.
I don't think so. Mr. Joe Rogan's had an interesting week.
Okay.
Have you seen any of this with the Liver King?
All I saw was that the Liver King went to Austin trying to fight him, and then he got arrested.
Okay, so yeah, that's the story. I think the Liver King, whether you like him or not, is falling on some hard times.
Mhm.
He seems a little. He is fucking crazy.
Mhm.
Um, in my opinion, I watched the reel in question. He was challenging Joe Rogan to a grappling match, and he's a little upset because Rogan. I've heard him bring up the Liver King several times, and he always talks about how it's terrible how he was selling natural supplements while he was on steroids.
Sure.
Blah 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 blah. I feel like anybody that could look at the Liver King and not realize that he's on steroids is an idiot.
Sure. Fair.
Um, he's definitely eccentric. He is showing a little bit of weird behavior, like a coffee enema. Like there's a video this week of him and actually the morning he got arrested. He's in the the shower at the Four Seasons Austin, and he's holding a stainless steel mug full of coffee, and at the bottom of it there's a plastic tube going out of it that's going to his bum. He says he's likes these coffee enemas, and he gives the name of the company, but he's also drinking out of it while he's ranting, which is I don't know, but yeah, he was arrested. I got he he got an ankle monitor put on him. He's now been going around making videos, very weird content
He
of like,
looks terrible.
yeah, he looks bad. Well, but since he got ousted, he doesn't take steroids anymore.
No, he's
And
back
then
on them.
maybe, I don't know. I mean, I kind
No,
of
no,
loosely,
he was public about it. He was like, "Ah, I gotta get back on him because I
I
feel like."
mean, I know he doesn't have his big staff anymore. He they're also he's acting and looks like he's on methamphetamines,
Mhm.
but I also know that like less than a year ago, he was working out and he was doing some sort of exercise that had elastic bands, and one of them snapped and cracked him right in the eyeball and detached his retina.
Ugh.
So that one, his pupil was blown, and the other one looks normal. So it looks like he's all fucked up on drugs, but he got smacked. Like they wanted to cut his eyeball out, and this is a weird connection with Rogan. They wanted to cut his eyeball out, and instead he got in touch with Ways to Well, which is a stem cell thing in Austin, and
Mhm.
that guy actually saved his eyeball. Maybe he didn't save his head, but it's been an interesting thing. But I just thought it was hilarious. And just standing in the shower, I'm getting my coffee enema. I do it every morning.
Jeez. Yeah, he's one fart away from a disaster. That's not the best part of waking up.
Yeah, I don't know.
Uh,
I just think sometimes somebody, some people need their social media taken away at some point. Like,
yeah, well, the guy is an actor. He got hired to play this part, and unfortunately, it consumed him. And now his identity is tied to it, and his finances are tied to it. Um,
yeah.
so yeah, it probably sounds like he got desperate. Um,
I
you
mean, the
know,
guy, and the thing is, the guy's, who knows if he's rich, but he was very wealthy at one point. I
yeah,
just don't buy I don't think he was going to Austin to hurt Rogan and his family. I don't buy that for a minute.
no, but also like, don't say that.
What?
Don't say that stuff. Like you're
No,
gonna
but
go,
he said, I want to his words was like, I want to get in a grappling match. And then it goes, I want you and me to get in a fight.
yeah,
And they cut off the grappling match part and just said, I want to get in the fight. And if you beat me, I want you to choke me out. Like,
mhm,
I don't think, Joe Rogan probably has two SEAL Team Sixes around him. I mean, he had Bernie Sanders in the
yeah,
studio.
yeah.
This guy isn't that stupid to think he's gonna get.
And he's been trying to get Joe Rogan's attention forever.
Yeah, I mean that's the ultimate thing he wants, and I bet you that he's like, this was his. You know what? This is the last way I can get this interview with Rogan. It's gonna save my career, and it's not working out, and it's a
Yeah,
shame.
yeah. I mean, it was his Hail Mary, didn't work out.
Well,
So coffee enemas and
what's the point of that?
well, I I mean, the point of enemas, I guess people do it.
I understand that part. What's the coffee part?
I guess it helps, clear things out. Like caffeine will open up your sphincter. That's why when you drink coffee in the morning, you feel like you have to shit immediately. So I think the caffeine kind of stimulates the enema process. That would be my guess. I'm not too educated on it.
Well, that's your assignment this week.
Because I know, and your body absorbs things quicker through the anus than it does through the mouth. So that's why people like Steve-O would funnel beers into their asshole because it would get them drunk quicker.
Well, it's about the time in the show when we call it.
And I wonder why we got kicked off Rumble.
I'm telling you, man, I think that this is the kind of conversation they like on that platform.
That's true. Yeah, I think it's more a technology error than anything else. But yeah, I'm cool calling it. 317 is going to be a good card. I'm looking forward to it. I don't have a whole lot.
Is it International Fight Week quality?
No.
I'm opening up a can of worms, but I think it is in the current state of the UFC today.
That's fair. That's fair. But if you look at past international fight weeks, like traditionally they always had GSP fighting.
Give me a year.
2015. Let's see. We'll go exactly a decade ago and see what they had in store.
You cheater.
What is it?
McGregor, Aldo.
Yeah.
No, wait. Chad Mendes.
Oh, okay. Yeah, makes sense.
UFC 189. Well, hold on. That's a big main event. We have a big main event this weekend.
Yeah, it is.
Robbie Lawler.
What is it?
Robbie Lawler, Rory McDonald.
Oh. 1 or 2?
I don't know.
Doesn't say. Either way, great fight. Classic.
But then it's like Jeremy Stevens, Dennis Bermudez, Gunnar Nelson, Brandon Thatch, Brad Pickett, Thomas Almeida.
At the time, Almeida was about to be a huge star. That kid came blazing out of the gates.
Never heard of him.
You can thank Cody Garbrandt for that.
Oh, was that fight that Cody Garbrandt went off?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Put an end to that kid's rising star. All right. We can call it here.
All right.
317, going to be a good card. And let us know if you agree with Matt's picks, or if you're on the other side of the fence, or if you're going to be running down the street with your balls out like old Lloyd there. Lloyd, give me a bourbon.
He never did. That is a cliffhanger.
Yeah.
And then we have a week off.
Oh, okay. All right. So let me see if I can line up something interesting next week. We'll see.
Yeah, we have a week off, and then it is a night that I am looking forward to a lot, and that is Max Holloway versus Dustin Poirier.
Yeah, it's going to be good. All right. Well, we got a lot of build up to that one. All right. Well, that's all we got for this week. So until next time, cheers, everybody. Goodbye.